Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be covering the book of Joshua. Now the book of Joshua is comprised of 24 chapters and we're about to get into that. But before we get into that, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe because these videos take a really long time to make and it would really make my day and my heart if you would just do all those things. Now, without further ado, let's get into the book of Joshua. So the book begins off by God telling Joshua that Moses is dead and that Joshua is going to be the new leader of the Israelites. He's basically telling Joshua, okay, listen, Moses, the big homie, he's gone, so you finna be the new big homie of the Israelites. And Joshua being Joshua, he's like, okay, bet, R.I.P. my homie Moses. And then God is like, don't worry, Joshua, I'm gonna be with you like I was with your boy Moses. And then Joshua proceeds to tell the Israelites that he's going to they're going to cross over to the Jordan River. And then Joshua wants to know what's going on with Jericho, which is a city opposite to them. So he sends 2 spies to go check it out. On their way of doing that, once they get inside, there's a prostitute named Rahab, a woman living in Jericho. And then the king hears about there being like 2 spies in Jericho, but Rahab already made a deal with them saying, and then Rahab is like, yo, if you promise the safety of me and my family, I'll help you escape. And the 2 spies are like, bet. So they escape of Rahab because of Rahab's help. And Rahab helped them because she had heard of the power of the Almighty God, the Israelites' God. And then there's a next part, which is in chapter 3, where God basically tells Joshua, yo, you're going to use the Ark of the Covenant. You're going to cross over the Jordan River and you're going to carry the Ark of the Covenant with you, this thing. And then the priests, when their feet touches the water stops flowing. And then they're able to get the Ark of the Covenant over to dry land. And then Joshua proceeds to tell 12 men to pick up rocks from the riverbed to make a memorial, so future generations remember how God stopped the Jordan River. Joshua also sets up another pile of stones where the priests stood previously, where they had stood. Now the Israelites are in enemy territory. And now the Canaanites are terrified because they heard about the miracle that happened at the Jordan River. And then God tells Moses to circumcise all the men because they hadn't done it while wandering in the desert after healing, and they celebrate the Passover. The next day, the manna is heavenly bread stops because they can now eat the land's food. Joshua then meets a mysterious man with a sword, and then Joshua asks, are you for us or for our enemies? And then the man replies, I'm the commander of God's army. And then Joshua falls on his face in awe. And then God gives Joshua a battle strategy, basically like a battle plan. He tells Joshua to march around Jericho once for 6 days with the priests blowing trumpets. And on the 7th day, march around the thing 7 times, then shout. They do exactly that, and when they shout out on the 7th day, the walls of Jericho crumble, and then the Israelites rush in and they conquer the city, and then they spare Rahab and her family, just like they promised, but they're told to destroy everything, keeping only the gold, silver, and treasures for God. And then a man named Achan disobeys God by secretly keeping some of the treasure for Jericho. Because of this, when Israel attacks a small town of Ai, they lose, and Joshua is confused and he prays, why did we lose? And then God says, someone sinned. They find out it's Achan. He confesses. He's punished for his disobedience. After dealing with the sin, Israel is ready to fight again. And then God says, don't be afraid. I've given you victory over Ai. This time, Joshua uses a clever strategy, and he uses some soldiers behind the city, and then others attack from the front and pretend to retreat. When Ai's army chases them, the hidden soldiers enter the unguarded city and it's set on fire, and then Israel wins the battle, and then Joshua builds an altar to God and then reads the book of the law to all the people. And then the nearby city of Gibeon hears about Israel's victory and comes up with a sneaky plan. They pretend to be travelers from a faraway land, wearing old clothes and carrying moldy bread. And they say, make a peace treaty with us. And then Joshua doesn't ask God for advice. And he agrees. Later, he discovers they're actually neighbors, but Israel kept their promise not to harm them. Instead, the Gibeonites became servants, and the Gibeonites were like, bet. And then 5 kings form an alliance to attack Gibeon for making peace with Israel. And then Gibeon asks Joshua for help. Joshua marches all night, surprises the enemies, and God throws hailstorms from the sky, killing many. Joshua prays, sun stand still, and it does, and the sun stays in the sky until Israel wins the battle. God fights for his people in an incredible way. And more kings unite against Israel, but God says, don't be afraid. Joshua then again leads the army to victory again, and then they defeat city after city, leaving no strong enemies in the land. And then Joshua does exactly what God commands, showing no mercy to evil nations that they had filled the land with violence and idol worship. The chapter lists all the kings Israel had defeated. 31 kings in total. It's like a record book of God's victories through Joshua. And then now Joshua is old, and then God's like, there's still land to take, but I'll help you finish the rest of the job. God then tells Joshua how to divide the land amongst the 12 tribes of Israel. The tribe of Levi doesn't get land because their special inheritance is serving God directly. So listen, do you guys remember Caleb? If you don't, let me give you an explanation. Caleb was one of the 2 people that Joshua had sent to spy on Jericho. So Joshua's old friend, he's about like 85 now, old but still strong, and he says, give me some of the land God promised me. You gotta think. Caleb was promised this land like 45 years ago, and he never got it. And he's like, yo, give me Hebron. And then Joshua gives him the region of Hebron, and then Caleb drives out the giants living there, proving his faith never faded. Joshua divides the land amongst the tribes of Israel. Judah, Ephraim, and Manasseh and others get their portions. Cities, borders, and regions are carefully described. The tribe of Dan struggles to take their land, so they move to a new area later. God then tells Joshua to set up cities of refuge, basically like safe places where people who accidentally kill someone can flee. These cities protect them until they get a fair trial. The Levites don't get land, but they do receive towns to live in, and they spread across Israel. This way, they can serve God and teach his laws everywhere. The tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh, I don't know how to say that name, return to their land across the Jordan River. They build a big altar, which worries the other tribes, and they think it's a rebellion against God. But Reuben and Gad explain this altar is not for sacrifices, but it's a reminder that we're a part of Israel too. Everyone is relieved and peace is restored. Now, you got to think, Joshua is now old. He gathers the leaders and says, be strong, keep obeying God, and don't worship fake gods. If you do, you'll lose the land. But if you're faithful, God will continue to bless you. Joshua then gathers all the tribes of Shem, and he reminds them of everything God has done for them, from Abraham to Egypt to the promised land. Then he challenges them. Choose today whom you will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. The people promise to follow God. Joshua dies at 110 years old, and Israel serves God as long as Joshua's generation is alive. And that is the entire book of Joshua. I just want to go ahead and say thank you for watching the video, and I just wanted to go ahead and let you guys know this. I did this video again. This was the second time I covered it because last time was not as energetic as I intended it to be. Here's a little clip of it. And then 5 kings of the Amorites unite. Yeah, and I'm sure you guys probably wouldn't have wanted to see that. But please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe because these videos actually take a long time to make. And it would really help you liking, comment, and subscribing because it actually helps the videos actually get out there. So yeah, I thank you, I love you, and God bless.